Hey guys, so for this episode I decided to do something a little bit different. I decided to give a little bit of love to our northern part of town. And I've decided to do this a little bit quicker since I'm going to be doing a lot of decorating. And I decided to start with a civilian railway, just so my guys have a little bit of an easier time getting into town. Unfortunately, little did I know that it's going to be a little bit tougher getting those guys out of this town. As you can see, we are on a bit of a hill, so it does make my life a little bit harder trying to figure out how to get this connected out here. Whatever I do, it just the percentage of it is being a little bit too annoying. After a while, I just decided, you know what, let's just focus a little bit on the other side, make that look good, make that with a proper incline. And then I was trying to figure out what else to do. I was looking at it to go under the road, but I was like, no, that doesn't look too good. So I started from the beginning again, just making everything look a little bit better. Decided to lower it a little bit, hoping that it would help. But so when I tried to incline again, it was still too much. And even after a couple of tries more, it was still pretty bad. And I didn't like how it was looking. So I was like, you know what? I don't even care right now. So I went ahead and focused entirely on the other side. Just, you know, to hopefully come up with a better idea while I'm working on something else. And as you can see, there is a little bit of work to do with the railway being on a little bit of an incline. I had to destroy it a couple of times just to make sure that it looks okay, that there is no weird hill in between the railways. And it worked out to be pretty good. However, on the other side, it was still pretty bad until I got an idea to actually just go around in the circle, sort of like a circular formation, that is. And it worked. The percentage went down. I tried to work a little bit of magic with the terraforming, but it didn't work out too well. So I said, you know what, I don't care. And then I just decided to add a bunch of trees everywhere, just so I wouldn't have like small spaces of absolutely nothing. And decided to try a couple of different trees everywhere just to give it a bit of a more pleasing look. And then I decided, you know what, it's time to give a little bit of love to my schooling out here. As I did say that I'm going to be redoing this area, and then I kind of didn't. So here we go, guys. I am redoing it at this moment. Adding a couple of fields out there just so it looks like a proper high school. Obviously, we're not going to be adding anything too crazy, like soccer fields, football fields. I kind of wish we had the space for it, but not out here. Out here, it's just a small space. I didn't plan for a very large, like, high school out here. So, as you know, in the previous episode, we kind of added a bunch of stuff to our university. So, for now, I think that's going to be more than enough. And here, you know, just adding a couple of fences just to make it look more secure, you know. So there is going to be only one way in. Well, technically one way in. I mean, I guess everybody can jump a fence once in a while, right? and just playing around a little bit with getting things to the proper height, because sometimes it's not really working out too well. And then, just adding a bunch of parking spaces to make it look nice, and playing around with that. Not really much to say about it. It's a very tedious process. Not my favorite, but it does make it look good. And so that's why we do it. And then, as I said, we're adding a bunch of trees, and I decided to go with something different for the high school, just so, make that area a little bit more special. And then we added a little bit of a sound barrier to the highway, as we do have a bunch of people living in there, and I'm sure none of them really wanted to hear a bunch of trucks driving by. And speaking of which, we're going to be adding a bunch of warehouses out here as well. Unfortunately, I did not realize how costly some of these things are. The warehouses, unique factories, everything in between, and did take a hit with my finances. So by the time right here, I actually noticed it when I was doing it. I was like, what? Only 30,000 remaining? It was not good, so I had to take a couple of loans. Hopefully you guys can forgive me for that. I do try not to take them, but just to save myself a little bit of time, because otherwise I'd be sitting there for like hours waiting for the money to come in. So, and then, parking spaces as usual, so people have an easier time. Unfortunately, with this parking space, I kind of screwed it up. As you can see, I had to readjust it multiple times. It was not pretty, and still, it did not look too well after I was done, but I was like, you know what? I'm done with it. And then I decided to add a couple of trees out here to make this area a little bit more excluded from the rest of the area. And once again, a bunch of trees. A couple of more warehouses, just to make this area look like these guys are doing something out here. And I picked whatever I needed to pick, or whatever is going to be needed in the future. Mostly I just put a bunch of stuff in there that's going to make my unique factory out there work a little bit faster, hopefully. And then I realized something, that the traffic out here is getting actually pretty bad with all of those warehouses. It was a lot of traffic. Then I had to wait again for a little bit more money. As you can see, it's always running away. So I decided to add a couple of bus lanes. Actually, just one, I believe. I did not add more than that. It's a pretty small city out there, so I was like, you know what? One is more than enough. And as I said, traffic was pretty bad, so a roundabout was made. It did make my life a little bit easier. But that entrance into our little industrial area of the warehouses is still a problem. I didn't completely fix it. I made it a little bit better, but not too much. And then, as I promised, guys, we're making a little park out here as well to make this area a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Unfortunately, while I was terraforming, I did run into a bit of a problem with water, so that was not that great, but we made do. And then just a bunch of roads, and then I realized that one of my roads is actually flooded, so I was thinking, how do I get rid of that? So I decided to make a little pond out here. I still don't really like how it looks, even after I was done with it. But it is what it is at this point. I just left it as it is there. Maybe at some point I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger just to have something more pleasing while the guys are driving into town. And this is a natural reserve park, so just a bunch of tents, you know, a bunch of fire pits, whatnot, to make it a little bit nicer looking. However, I don't have much to work with as this is my first park of this sort in this city. So my resources here are limited of what I can do, so the little I did, hopefully that's going to be enough for now. And as you can see, I am working a little bit in this area. Unfortunately, I put the wrong road out there. The wrong section of the road actually got upgraded at first, but that got fixed, and still, the problem persisted. And as you can see, there's a lot of trees that are catching fire, so I added a fire station out here with the helicopters, plus one of those watchtowers. Hopefully that's going to be helping out, because fires have been raging on quite a bit. And seeing that the traffic is not really going anywhere, I decided to add one more slip lane out there just to help these guys get out of my town a little bit faster and on onto the highway. And then I decided to work a little bit on my mass transit because people are just getting stuck a little bit. Once again, though, I did forget how expensive these guys are, so I had to take a few loans out here again. And unfortunately, I had to wait for quite a while out here until I got all of the money that I really needed. But eventually we did get it. And as you can see, the subway station is completed. And then it was just a matter of adding the lane out here. I just added one because it's still going to be going in a circular formation. And then I went around and just made sure that all the buses were working efficiently, that there's not too many buses or that there's not too many people waiting for those buses. So I had to adjust a little bit of that. A couple of buses here, a couple of buses there. And we are still running into problems out here with the death care. So I needed to start making a couple of more houses just to get myself over the 15,000 mark. And as you can see, we got very close, but unfortunately, with people dying, laying around, not that many people wanted to live by those corpses that are being their neighbors. So I've decided to make another industrial area because nobody wanted to move into a couple of those houses that I put in because they were looking for work and I had nothing. I just added a little bit, nothing too major as you saw. And then a couple of more commercial areas just in case, and then had to do a little bit of cleanup. Had to play around a little bit with those cemeteries, making sure that they're actually working even a little bit because I got 4 cemeteries if I recall correctly, and they're all full to the brink, which makes it about 12,000 people. So you could say about one of my towns have died completely. While I waited for some of those people to actually move in, I did a little bit of playing around with the parks because my natural reserve park did not actually get any people in there. Well, not many. And that was not good at all. And so I had to adjust the price so at least somebody would be going out there because otherwise we'll never improve that park. And then it was just a matter of sitting and just waiting for those people to move in after adding a couple of residential areas, and I've decided to add the crematoriums out here to make my life a little bit easier, and hopefully they're gonna be helping me out. But that's all I did for today, guys. So here we go. Enjoy this beautiful view of the city that we've decorated today. And if you love this video, guys, please consider liking and subscribing as that does help me out. And I will see you guys next time. Scorpion out.